This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Baruch Haba, welcome everyone. We're learning tonight from a sefer I don't think we ever taught from. The name of the sefer is Igeres Leben Torah. It's written by Hagoyin Hagadol Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef, the Ravadia's son, and it's about the methodology of learning, the correct methodology of learning, al-pi the hashkafas of Rabbi Vadia. And he talks about many things. He talks about how much a person should sleep at night. He talks about the derech halimud. And let's read over here. In preparation for Shavuos, we're learning from different svarim that talk about Illuminates Torah. So we're going to learn first Parak Beis, the Chiyuv Illuminates Torah. He says, after we've explained the importance of our holy Torah, what emerges is the personal obligation of every Jew to learn Torah, like the Gemara says in Yomatan Rabbanon, Ani ba'asher ba'am ladin, when the wealthy man comes to be judged, they tell the poor man, why didn't you learn? So if he says, I was too poor, I was involved making a parnasa, supporting the family, so they say to him, Kluma used to ani Yosef me Hillel. You are no more poor than Hillel. They said about Hillel, he chopped wood, didn't take any handouts, didn't take kolo checks, he did not accept money from others. Umistaker bat tarfik, he made one tarfik a day. Half he used for the membership fee, and the other half he used to support his family. By the way, the Chafetz Chaim in Likutei Halachos on this Gemara in Yuma, he asked, wait a second, the Gemara in Ksuba says, Hiskinu be'usha hamevazbeis al yivazbeis Yosef mechoimesh, which means you're not permitted to give more than a fifth of one's money for tzedakah. So how could Hillel give 50% of his earnings to learn? You're not allowed to give more than a fifth of your earnings. So the Chafetz Chaim says, Hani mili, when you're giving tzedakah. But now it's a matter of my own learning. Learning is life. Is there any halacha I can't give more than a fifth of my money to save my life? Torah is my life. So if that's what it takes to learn, you gotta give all your money. By the way, according to that, Pshat of the Chafetz Chaim is very meduyak, the lashon of the Gemara over there. It says he was going to learn Divrei Elokim Chayim Mipi Shmai V'Avtalyan. It's not a usual expression for the Gemara to use Divrei Elokim Chayim. It could be the Gemara uses it for this halacha, but okay, fine. So the story goes like this: Pamachas le'motzul estaker. He couldn't make money that day. The guard didn't let him in. The gadol adar. Look, a charge is a charge. Money is money. Can't come in. All of Inislav Yashal Piaruba, he went up and he hung by the skylight. Kadei sheyishma divrei elokim chayim mipi shmai v'avtalyan. Amru oisa yom erev Shabbos haya. They said that day was Erev Shabbos. It was Kufas Teves, so it was an early Shabbos. And it was cold. It was winter. The Yard alav shelag min hashamayim. The snow fell on him. And in the morning, Shmai and Avtalyan, they say to each other, Avtalyan achi, it's pretty dark in here. What's going on? So they looked upstairs. They looked at the skylight, and it looks like there was a snowman trying to listen in on the shiur. Right? They saw the image of a man by the skylight, and they found 6 feet of snow on top of him. Yeah?
How could I see him in the 6 feet of snow?
He was buried in the snow.
There was a sun.
It was against the glass.
But 6 feet of snow would have obliterated anything.
But his image was against the glass.
The sun got in. Eretz Yisrael is closer to the equator. There's more direct sunlight, so the snow.
6 feet of snow, that's so packed.
The sun got in.
You can't see through.
Yeah?
I would say 6 feet.
It says 3 amos. According to the Chazon Ish, it was 6 feet. According to Rav Moshe, it was a little less. Yeah, so Paraku, they took him off. They washed him. They smeared him up, and they warmed him up. And they said he's sick enough. You could be Mechal Shabbos for him. So Frekt, Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef, the following kasha. V'lechaira yipla al Hillel eich sikein atzmei al divrei Torah. How is Hillel allowed to endanger himself to learn? But the Gemara says in Bava Kama Samach Aleph Amar Aleph Amar David HaMelech Kach mekublani ve'ez dino shel Shmuel HaRama. So you have the following tradition: Kol ha'moiser atzmei lemisa al divrei Torah. Anyone who risks their life to learn, ein oimrim dvar halacha b'shma. You can't say learning over in his name. He's obviously not acting in accordance with halacha. So how could Hillel endanger his life to learn? It's not one of the cardinal three things, right? It's not yehareg v'al yaver to learn. Amad alav shaper of it. So what's the pshat? What was Hillel doing? He knew it was teves. He was probably a smart man. He probably could feel in the air. Even people today could feel in the air the snow is coming. The Arizal could look at your forehead and know everything you ever did in your life. So he probably could look up in the sky, the Arizal, and determine what the weather is going to be. And if he could do it, I'm sure Hillel could do it.
He wasn't such a devil, though.
What?
At this point, maybe Hillel wasn't such a devil.
He wasn't. What was he doing? So,
life, and that's what you have to do. Save your life.
yeah, but halach l'maisa, you can't risk your life for Torah.
So he didn't know there was a subcontinent.
So listen to what he says. He says you have to say v'tzarach loymar shehillel meiroiv chevtzai uchukasai bat Torah. Hillel desired Torah so much. He had such a cheshek. He had such a yearning for Torah. L'shmaya direi l'kim chayim pigdolei adar. He's lying there. He at first maybe didn't realize it was snowing. He was so involved, he's so immersed in the learning. So he didn't think the snow was so bad. He wasn't margish. He was mekayim the inyan that for the love of the Torah, you act like a shoygel, without thinking. But he realized it was snowing. Yeah, so he said, but he didn't realize it was shchecha hazeka. That's what you have to say. You have to say that Hillel had such avas Torah that it caused him to, on some level, miscalculate the reality of the situation. It was a fluke?
Yeah. When does it snow 6 feet in Yerushalayim? Maybe it's bubbly or it's good.
Well, why does the Gemara say it was this Tkufas Teves? The Gemara is explaining,
because it snows. It snows pretty good. Everywhere it snows about.
So it's like, when there's a foot of snow on top of his head, he's lying there pressed against the skylight. But okay, when there were 6 inches of snow on his head, maybe at that point you should say, maybe I need to. Why didn't he get up then? I mean, he is probably frostbitten on his ear.
It wasn't marked.
So it's okay. So you see tremendous ability to be so involved in learning where his body was in physical danger and he didn't realize it. So Hagaba'atzmacha, if anybody we could ever even imagine could ever reach such a level of love for something, being immersed in something. I mean, you tell a kid, right? The kid's busy, with a book or with a building or whatever the kid is busy with. Okay, they're orangutan, but at a certain point, they realize. Imagine, if some snow starts falling. Okay, they're busy, but when there's a foot of snow on their head, even the kid who loves his toy so much.
Wasn't one saying Shabbos and Pezayim and Peshais by Rav, that he was sitting on his finger.
Yeah, the Gemara says in Shabbos, Peches, Rava, right? I'm a Paziza.
He didn't realize his finger was bleeding.
Yeah. That's the same kind of Indian, You see the great madrigos of a focus of the Tanakh. Okay, we'll end with one little story here that Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef brings down. A story of the Chavrusa Shaft, the learning of 2 Gaonei Yisrael, one of them is one of the only Rabbanim in the entire Yabi Omer that Rabbi Vadia calls Pe'er Hadar. One is a Chazon Ish and one is Rav Tzvi Pesach Frank. And he writes in the 3rd paragraph, he says, well, first he brings down a story about Reb Shimon Miteflek, the Rav of Shchunas Beis Yisrael, about 35 years ago. He was a Goyin Olam. He knew Mamish, he says, he knew the Ramban and the Melchemes Baal Peh. He knew the Ran and the Razah, like word for word. And he would learn everything in Sheh. He would learn again and again and again. And Chazer, every Masechta, he brings down here 60 to 80 times. And he would learn it, as soon as he would learn it, he would Chazer it. Okay, and then he brings down this following story. Mesaprim al Goyin of Tzvi Pesach Frank. There's a story about the great Goyin of Tzvi Pesach Frank. He learned in a Chavrusa Shat with Rabbi Chil Mechel, who's the author of the Gesher HaChaim. V'lomdu tishim pam meseches Yevamos al daf Pei Zayin Amud Beis. They learned together 90 times Yevamos. Not the whole thing until Pei Zayin. Why there? Because until Ha'isha Rabbah, it talks about Chalis and Yibam. From there, it talks about Agunos, and they were interested in Yibam. Okay? So when they got up to Daf Pei Zayin, Amud Beis, Tzvi Pesach said, I'm not ready to go ahead. I need to chazer, I feel, 30 more times. Can you imagine being on a level, you chazer something 90 times, and you're margish how many more times you need to chazer it?
Is there something missing?
Could you ever, can you imagine such a thing? Where, you chazered it, who knows how many times, and then you realize exactly how many more times you need to do it.
What was their derech of learning? Did they learn, like in Shulchan time, the first time you tackle the Gemara, you try not to move on. The Gemara says, it's not good. The derech of Illuminates.
Ligmar v'hadar Lizbar.
Before you go on to the next piece of Gemara, you should take the first.
Break the wings.
Like the wings of a bird, and it
means to chazer it.
Fly away from you until you know it clear. Is that the way they learned? And they still went over it 120 times, or they just went over it quickly, and as they went over each line, it got clear?
I think Rav Shach has a letter that the way that Klal Yisrael is to learn, they would move, Gemara Rashi, and then if they had kashas, they would try to answer. If they didn't have an answer, they would go weiter. And then whatever you don't understand the first time, you'll get it better. Yeah. So Rabbi Yitzchak brings down because Rav Tzvi Zofan said he needs 30 more times. Rabbi Chil Mechel says I need to go weiter. So they split. Rabbi Chil Mechel cannot continue on with him. He said v'nifredu zamizeh. They broke up. They had to split up. Rabbi Tzvi Zofan chaz another 30 times, and this is how they learned the entire Shas, and that's why they knew every single Tosfos Baal Peh. So again, this is all part of the tremendous Avas HaTorah, to be able to learn something so many times. It's not possible unless somebody has really a tremendous cheshek, tremendous chefetz for Torah, which we should all be zoicha to have a little bit of that. Shkoyach.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.